Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing pretty good myself because finally, after searching for several days, I finally have another thing to make a video on. Because, you know, the gaming industry, it's been a little quiet recently. I haven't really been able to find many like fanboys talking about Starfield being delayed or anything like that. So, you know, I've had to search quite a bit, and I finally did find something. The video is about 3 weeks old, but it's still pretty relevant, and it's coming from one of the most notorious PlayStation fanboys, JayTechTV. And actually, this video wasn't bad or anything. He was actually asking a genuine question, and I am actually here to answer it. Mainly because this is an argument you see from tons of Sony fanboys, you know, obviously. Oh, Xbox has no games, there's no exclusives, why would anyone want to buy a console with no exclusives? So I figured I could kind of use this video as an excuse to sort of explain that a little bit. Now, I always record these intros before I actually start making the videos, so I don't know how long this video is going to end up being. It's probably going to be on the shorter side because the clip from JayTechTV is like 2.5 minutes total. But yeah, I figured, hey, it's something you guys will hopefully enjoy watching it, and it gives me something to talk about during these very dry days in the gaming industry. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this video.
I'm not going to keep you guys long. This is a pre-recorded video, but I do want to ask a question. When you're buying a new gaming console at the beginning of a generation, how important is it to you that that console has exclusive games that sell you on the features and other technologies inside of that new generation you're stepping into?
Well, for me and quite a lot of people, exclusives matter very little or none at all. And also, I'm just saying, games aren't going to sell you on features of a console like the features of the console would sell you on the features, and the games will sell you on the games. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, for me and a lot of other people, as sales numbers have shown, exclusive games are not the mass, like, overall selling point of consoles, because if that was the case, then everyone would have gone out and bought an Xbox One back when it came out, but they didn't, because, you know, that console was basically a spy cam when it came out. Even though it had the better launch lineup of games compared to the PS4 sold better because it was cheaper and it didn't watch you while you played video games 24/7. Like, let's just use an example here. God of War, what is agreed by many to be probably the best PS4 exclusive game of the entire generation, right? Like, I don't think many people would argue that. Like, obviously, PS4 had a lot of great games, but I think a lot of people would argue that God of War was probably the best one. But think about this. The PS4 sold roughly 120 million units, and I just did a quick Google search. Roughly 20 million people bought God of War, meaning that only 1 in every 6 people who bought a PlayStation actually bought God of War. But even then, that does not necessarily mean that those people bought the PlayStation for God of War. A lot of those people probably just bought it because it was on PlayStation and they thought it looks like a good game. Like, people do not buy, or at least most people do not buy hardware because you can only play specific games on that hardware. I'm not going to say that nobody buys a console for the exclusives only, because I actually have a friend who, you guys have seen him in some videos. I've been playing like games in the background with him. Like, he bought a PS4 so he could play Spider-Man. He was like one of those people, but then he had the Xbox as his primary machine because of Game Pass and because he already had all his games on there anyway. The vast majority of people buy a new console to get better performance than what was achievable on the previous gen, to be able to play all the new games that come out for the next few years without having to worry about upgrading. And because the console can play all the games that they want to play on it. Like, the vast majority of people buy third-party games for consoles, because that's obviously the case. Because if that wasn't the case, then God of War would have outsold Call of Duty, but obviously that didn't happen. God of War would have also outsold NBA and Madden, but again, that obviously didn't happen. Now, I should probably be more specific here. I'm not talking about the Switch because, you know, the Switch is a whole different thing. The Switch is the only exception for a console selling because of its exclusives, but that's because, you know, the Switch's features are kind of crap. Besides, you know, I mean, I guess the portability. That's nice. But also, most third-party games that release now don't even get released on the Switch. So the Switch is kind of the exception to that rule, and you can even see that in sales numbers, where I think like half of people who have bought a Switch have bought Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or something. So the proof is definitely in the pudding for the Switch selling because of exclusives. But if I had to argue the number one factor for why people choose to buy a console, in my experience, because I used to be a console gamer and like most of my friends are console gamers, I would argue the number one reason people buy a console is because their friends have that console, so they know they can play games with them instead of having to worry about like crossplay and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely would say that exclusives are one of the least concerning factors to most people when it comes to buying a console. Again, that doesn't apply to everyone, and I'm not going to deny that. Again, I know people who have bought consoles just for the exclusives, but I'm saying the majority of people don't really care too much about the exclusives.
Obviously, I'm talking about Xbox versus PlayStation, where, you know, the PlayStation 5 had new games from day one to now, 2 straight years. Xbox has been struggling, and aside from Forza and Halo, which nobody plays anymore or even talks about anymore, there's not really much to brag about on the platform.
Okay, can I just ask, who brags about what games they can get on their platform? Like, how pathetic do you have to be to actually brag that your console can play games that other platforms can, or PC can play games that other platforms can? Oh wait, sorry, I forgot. Console fanboys exist.
After the latest MPD for March of 2022 revealed that the Xbox Series X or S outsold the PS5 and Nintendo Switch, it does lead me to believe that people are just buying the system just to buy it. There's no value, there's no popularity there.
I mean, he's absolutely right, guys. There's no value on the Xbox whatsoever. None at all. It's not like you can play, every single Microsoft game, and then you have access to Game Pass, and then you're going to be able to play all AAA games that, Sony doesn't pay timed exclusivity for. Anyway, for the rest of this console generation, you're absolutely right. No value to Xbox whatsoever. But that's honestly another thing I forgot to mention earlier, is that Xbox has actually been outselling PlayStation and even the Switch a little bit recently, which I think should really just finally put the nail in the coffin on the exclusives argument. Like, if anything I said earlier in this video didn't convince you that exclusives barely have anything to do with console success, those sales numbers of the Xbox compared to the PlayStation as of recently should prove that.
A lot of people have contacted me over the last 2 days saying that the Xbox Series S, the white, cheaper alternative model, is the one that's actually being sold because it was the one that was still on shelves. So when people, kind of went back to their normal lives, aside from the pandemic, they were going into these stores, and these are the systems they saw available, and these are the ones they purchased.
Yes, because the vast majority of people who buy consoles are just casual gamers. They don't really mind which platform they play on too much, unless, it has something to do with being able to play with friends or something. That's really the only reason, I can really see the majority of people being concerned about which console they buy. But yeah, besides being concerned about which platform they can play with their friends on, a lot of people are just casual gamers who want to, spend a couple $100 on a good console that can last them a few years, and they can play all the new games that are coming out. And obviously in Xbox's case, you have Game Pass, which also might be a selling factor for them. But yeah, if these people walk into a store, they see that Xbox is available, and they realize, oh yeah, okay, this is nice and cheap, it's only $300, it's gonna last me several years, I'm gonna be able to play all the new games that are coming out, and Game Pass is an option if I want to subscribe to that so I can save a bunch of money on new games that I might want to buy, then why wouldn't they go for that? Because like I explained before, the vast majority of casual gamers probably aren't even really too involved with which exclusives are on which platform anyway. They probably just want to play video games and have a good time. Who would have guessed?
Nah, it's nobody knows if the people that went out to get those systems understood that that was not the true next-gen version of the Xbox platform, and that was like a weaker alternative.
Well, if they went into their purchase not knowing anything about what they were getting themselves into, that's kind of on them. But like I was just saying, if they know the platform, if they know that the console is a good price and they find value in it, and if they know they're going to be able to play all the games they want to play, which for the vast majority of people is third-party games, and again, most people don't really care about the exclusives, then why wouldn't they buy that console and just enjoy the games that they want to play?
Or, you know, maybe they were promoted, you know, Microsoft had did really good on promoting or marketing that it was still a next-gen system at a cheap value. I don't know. But, you know, the question remains, when a new system comes out, how important is it that exclusives are present for that platform? Or do you just go out and buy it with no real times table on when you will have a game to justify that purchase?
Again, I don't want to have to repeat myself, but I'm pretty sure as long as people can play the third-party games that they want to play, possibly with their friends as well, then I think that is more than enough to justify their purchase. Like, not everyone needs an exclusive game to their platform to justify their purchase of that platform. If people just want to go out, get a nice cheap machine for $300, kick back and play some games with some friends or whatever, then, I mean, what is the problem with that? Like, only fanboys, from what I've seen, really need exclusive games to justify their purchase. Because in a lot of cases, what you'll notice with fanboys is that if PlayStation especially, if they decide to port their games over to PC, the fanboys will start saying, well, now what's the point of me owning this PlayStation if I could just play it on PC anyway? So yeah, like I just said, most people don't need an exclusive game to justify their purchase. They just need games that they want to play to justify their purchase. And again, in some people's cases, maybe that does mean having an exclusive game on there, but for the vast majority of people, again, that is not the case. But anyway, guys, this was a bit of a shorter video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. I've always kind of wanted to explain why exclusives don't really matter when it comes to consoles, and this video that was uploaded by JayTech finally gave me the excuse to do so. So I guess thank you, Jay, for that one. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for all the support recently. My videos have been doing great recently, and we're almost at 300 subs as well. So thank you guys so much for that. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will catch you guys next time.